because I don't have a producer. I have to like go to each one of the, we're
I
live right now, but
cannot.
hold on everybody, because I have to go start the live on every single one of the sub channels. Because you know, we're doing it live. We're doing a live show, no budget, no plan.
Do it live.
That's what I thought. I was like, I'm in my Bill O'Reilly era. F it, we'll do it live.
Well, just as long as you don't bust out the loofah, we
No.
should be okay.
Is he a swinger?
No, remember he was accused of sexually harassing. What? Don't look at me like that. You didn't.
I did not remember. No.
With the Okay, am I confusing my sexual harasser? Hold a second.
Oh my gosh, we have Bill O'Reilly tea, everyone.
What do you mean it's not tea? Oh yeah,
it is. If I don't know.
2004 sexual harassment lawsuit filed by producer Andrea Macris. The suit alleged that O'Reilly made explicit, vulgar phone calls, including a detailed fantasy about using a loofah, often misremembered as falafel, to masturbate while in the shower.
Get out of here, Katie Phang.
Wait, I call bullshit.
I did not know this.
I call bullshit that you didn't know.
I swear to God, I did.
Loofah.
No, 2004. I was in theater school. I didn't know.
Oh,
I didn't know.
You're so young and beautiful.
So are you, my love. So are you.
I'm 51 this year, honey, so I don't know about
that. Yes, but you know, Albanian, Asian. We're gonna look good for fucking everything.
I'm either gonna look really, really young or fucking decrepit old.
No, but I think you're on the track to really, really young. Can I tell you something I love about you before we go back to
yes. Tell me, because I'm having the worst imposter syndrome the last few days. I've been having like a little bit of like, yeah.
Forget it. Okay, let me get the TikTok live started, and then I'm going to tell you something that I love about you, because this is what the show is about. It's about just like building up our friends. What is this doing? Am I in studio TikTok? It's like, you guys watch. This is the new name of the show is going to be called Watch V Struggle.
You asking me technical shit? I have no idea.
We're getting a producer next week. This lovely woman, Vienna, is going to.
I like her name already.
Me. She's wonderful.
She favorite cities in the world is Vienna.
The coolest, and she. Why can't I figure out how to go live? This is upload profile.
It's also the name of a contestant in The Bachelor. Her name was Vienna. Do you remember?
Is it? Her? Wait, talk about The Bachelor while I figure this out.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to the internet, folks, right now, but I believe that Vienna was in the Jake Bachelor season.
Okay.
Let's look it up. I'm going to get off the loofah screen. Jake Bachelor Vienna. Yes, Jake Pavelka and Vienna Girardi were the stars of The Bachelor season 14. I'm so old, which was in year 2010, ending with a notorious engagement that busted in June of 2010. It was an explosive and highly public breakup, according to the internet.
Okay, scandal. We're just not going to have live on TikTok today because I can't figure it out. So here we are. We're just here with our YouTube and our Instagram friends today. I love the name Vienna. She's going to come help us next week, so this won't happen again. But I'm going back to the Bill O'Reilly loofah story. I was in theater school, so no, I was not aware. But I do have a theater school Bill O'Reilly story. And also, he is so vile. That is disgusting. So one of my friends is, her name is Amy Palumbo, and she won Miss New Jersey, like 2007, something like that. And it was a big scandal because it was her first time she tried out for any kind of pageant. She's very beautiful, very talented. And she won like Miss Ocean City or something. And then she went on to Miss New Jersey. She won Miss New Jersey and she went on to Miss America. And the girl who was trying to win Miss New Jersey all these years, she was really the favorite to win it. But then my friend Amy won it instead. And this girl snapped her carrot. She had a complete friggin' meltdown. She wrote to the Miss America Scholarship Foundation or whatever they're called. And she was like, she called herself like the committee to save Miss America and tried to say that my friend Amy had like all these skeletons in her closet and she was like all drama and she was like all these horrible things because they were trying to get her disqualified as Miss New Jersey.
Wow.
So the like press descends upon New Jersey, descends upon our sorority to like try and figure out what's going on with this girl and like what her big scandal could be. They were like, is she pregnant? Is she a drug addict? Is she a mafia member? There was all these different things. She's like the most normal person. She was so lovely. So anyway, so all this goes on and then she gets a publicist involved. She was on the Today Show to defend herself. She was on all these different shows. She gets booked on Bill O'Reilly with her lawyer. Why would she go on Bill O'Reilly? I don't know, but it was 2007.
Well, he had a very
popular show,
He was like one of the #1 shows on Fox Prime time. And I only know that because the show leading up to his show was Greta Van Sustren's show, On the Record with Greta Van Sustren. That
was a good one.
That she, I think it was back then. But anyway, keep on going. Sorry, my bad.
So she gets booked on Bill O'Reilly, and I'm watching it like at home with my parents, and we're all like following this crazy Amy story. And he goes on and he's like, all right, what's the secret? What's the secret, Miss New Jersey? What could the secret be? Are you a dominatrix? And she goes, no. And he's like, are you a lesbian or something? And she starts laughing and is like, no. And it was just like, he went through every like weird sex thing it could possibly be, but that had never happened to her on any of the interviews she did. They were like, oh, is it a cheating scandal? Is it a this? Is it a that? So we always thought Bill O'Reilly was a freak after that anyway.
Well, you did, as if you needed confirmation.
I know, but that's my Bill O'Reilly story. He's a weirdo. The loofah thing is the loofah thing. Oh my God. I love it. It's like we're on CNN right now. We've already made it weird.
The loofah thing was the thing. I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back, I want to say. It was not the loofah that broke the camel. Let's see what it's. Well, maybe it was the loofah.
Well, here's the thing.
So Fox paid out more than $13 million in settlements to 5 women between 2002 and 2016.
Wow. Okay.
Megyn Kelly allegedly said that his behavior was one reason that she had left Fox News.
Oh, wait. People need to. Okay. So apparently, if you missed the beginning of the live, we were talking about Bill O'Reilly because I said, F it, I'm going to do it live. And Katie was like, ew, gross, Bill O'Reilly and his loofah. Apparently he sent like a message to a woman saying that he was like touching himself in the shower with a loofah, thinking about her. And it like, and then like you said, Fox had to pay all this money. And people thought it was a falafel, which I don't know. What is worse, a loofah or a falafel in the shower? I mean, I could see him doing both.
Doing in the shower.
People are freaks. I swear to God, there's like something that happens to men and like people in generally, but especially men, where they get like a certain amount of money and their brain breaks.
But it's a very Fox. It was a very Fox kind of thing, right? I mean, that was the culture there, obviously, from the Roger Ailes thing down, and the fish does rot from the head, right? So I feel like that created the permissive structure for everybody to be doing the crazy shit that they did. And then it's not like they ever got any better after they paid $787.5 million to Dominion. So it's not like it's any better at that place. So
what is the point of Fox right now? Like, how is it still going? Is it really running on like My Pillow ads or like how is this happening?
I feel like a lot of people are getting, like, I can tell you this, and maybe you can tell me if it's any different for you. Like, I feel like most citations to crazy is not to Fox News anymore, but it's to like the Nick Fuentes or the Tucker Carlson or something, right? I feel like that has been the energy of the far right MAGA world finding their confirmation bias sources. It's not really Fox anymore. I feel like, I'm not saying Fox is legitimate. I can't say that they've gone straight. I'm just saying that I think that I feel like there's been an escalation in feeding the red meat to the base, and you can't necessarily only get that satiation from Fox. I think you have to go even harder now. Like you have to go even crazier, and you're not getting as crazy as you can get it at Fox.
I don't find them like entertaining or funny though. Like there were times where you could kind of put on maybe like Brett Baier or something, or maybe like Greta Van Susteren, like you said back in the day, and you'd have like a decent show. There'd be like something to watch. Now I'm like, other than Jessica Tarlov, like what do you guys have? And not just because I'm like a lefty liberal or something, but I just don't feel like they believe it anymore, really. Like it comes off very like they don't even believe it.
Well, and I also think, and this is not, me crying over spilt milk in any way. I do think the problem with mainstream media or cable media is every hour on the hour is the same content.
Right.
It's the same, it's the regurgitation of the same content. You just hit a different hour on the East Coast, and it's such and such hour. And so the run of show, or the lineup as it's called, right, for that hour of news or whatever it is, it's the same thing over and over again. And I think that lack of originality, it only changes based upon the personality of the person that's in the chair. But even that gets reined in. And again, this is the problem with corporate media. It gets reined in by what it's supposed to be. There's a certain tenor, tone, kind of energy to it. And that is why it's problematic that you also get the same talking heads and pundits as well. And so there's not a lot of variety. And that's probably why when you look at a place like Fox, which I think is even worse in terms of strictures of the women have to look a certain way, you have to talk a certain way, and the men have to have a certain narrative. I think that's the reason why it's less entertaining at Fox.
I think so. I've learned so much in these green rooms being on like the MS Now and CNN a bunch of times now. And I do sort of go on as a research project because it doesn't really do very much for like my particular channel, but I think it's good for like people like us to be in the room and try to like, 100%. At least for that minute, like bring some, you know, normie energy to it. But what's so interesting to me about going on those shows is the time you have in the green room ahead of time. Because it's like me and I'm like my regular ass self. I don't know. And most of the people who go on TV don't know who I am. So they're like, oh, they think I'm like 28 and like some idiot kid from TikTok. They have like no clue whatsoever. And I let them think that because it benefits me.
You're a TikToker.
Yeah, they're like, oh, whatever. And then they talk freely in front of you, right? It's like when I was a chef and the politicians would like say crazy stuff in front of you because they're like, oh, you're staff. You have no thoughts of your own. So it's the same with the green room energy. And I'll be in there. And a lot of the folks who tend to be like the right-wing pundit or the whatever, they are also like consultants, I came to find out. So like they have clients that they're representing. So they're coming on, let's take like who's that girl Smiley I was on with? Tiffany Smiley? I was on with her with Laura Coates one night. Also, Laura Coates and Audi, those are my girls. Okay. Those are my girls. They are down. They're like, we have like a moment going and I'm like, we're on the same team today. But I was on with Tiffany Smiley. Well, she owns a super PAC that is, the purpose is to get people elected in Republican office. So while she comes on and she's doing her talking head thing, I know like in the back of her head and what she said in the green room is that her goal is to like advance her PAC. When like that Mike guy is on who works for like, I forget his name too. I like him. He's like nice enough to be in the green room. But when he's on, he also is representing like clients who are elected officials. Like I think he worked on getting like Lisa Murkowski elected and stuff. So I always think like their point in coming on TV is different than mine. Mine is like to try and say what happened, and theirs is to try and set like a little bit of a narrative. And I think that's an interesting thing about mainstream media guests too, is that they're not just there as a lawyer or just there as a whoever. They're there as like, they have another agenda a lot.
Yeah, and that's and because the regular viewer, although I think one of the worst things that's happened with this administration and what continues to happen with mainstream media is there's almost like a presumption that that Americans are not paying attention or that they're not intelligent enough to realize that this is what's happening. But I do think, though, in fairness to the consumer, that should be explored. So like, for example, I feel like somebody should ask Tiffany or others, even the host, right? So Tiffany, you're here, but let's be clear, you're here because you have a super PAC and you're doing this, right? Because then I feel like that bias becomes very apparent to, the consumer.
Yeah. And then contextualize it. Yeah.
How do you not have that context? Because then otherwise you might be like, oh, well, she's just saying this. Because then you also don't know, does she really believe in it? Or is she only saying it, or he or whomever, are they only saying this because they want to make money off of their PAC, or because their clients would be pissed if they were to articulate an opinion or a position otherwise? So, I mean, but listen, it happens on both sides. Let's be honest.
No, it's all TV. That's what I'm saying. I think it's like a management structure. It's something like if I could like wave a wand and fix TV, I think I would fix, like, to your point, the way that they do guests, because there's so many interesting people, but those people aren't necessarily trained for television. Like they also have like regular folks on telling the story.
They're not good TV. So,
right.
So, and not to be pejorative, but they're not good TV. So, they may be brilliant in their craft and space, but you watch them and it's just not titillating. And so you're like, okay, I'm tuning you out.
Yeah, they don't have like the sense of urgency to get it out quick because they're like a thinker, or they're not media trained in that way. So then you end up getting, the people. Also, you don't get paid to go on TV. I think a lot of people think when I'm on, like, maybe I got a day contract. You don't. So, you have to be able to afford to go to New York or go to DC or do whatever the case may be. So I get that. Have
contracts though. Like when I was at MSNBC, NBC, I was a legal contributor, so I was on a contract, right? And that tethered me to that network and to that channel. But that clearly didn't influence what the hell I said. So
no. Okay. Let me go back to the thing I love about you. So we come off mainstream, our criticism of mainstream TV. Here is something that I love about Katie Phang. I love watching my friends' content. I love watching them do the thing that they love. I learned so much from you and like all the gals in the group chat. But you do a thing that like, I'm like, okay, I'm sat for this. When you are about to say something, you go, okay. And but you fold, do you even know you do this? You fold your glasses very intentionally and then you go into it. And I'm like, bitch is about to serve. She is about to tell us a story. And I love it. It's my favorite thing. And I hope that you keep doing it because
I don't even know I'm doing it. That's
it's the best. It's the best, like Katieism, and I fucking love it. And every time you fold your glasses down, whether you're a guest on a show or whether you're doing your own thing, I'm like, she is about to tell you the truth. Like things are about to go well. And I love it.
So you know this, but I don't think people know. So I wear contact lenses. And I've been wearing contacts for a long time because my eyesight is just shit.
Yeah.
And not the shit, but just shit. And my last eye exam last year, I was like telling the optometrist, I'm kind of struggling a little bit where like the aspirin bottle is getting farther and farther away from my face for people to read it. And she's like, So we did the test. And this is not because I was raised in a strict Asian family, but I am very competitive. And I'm competitive with the exams they give you in the eye exam, the annual eye exam.
Yes.
And so I worry
like memorizing
what the results are going to be. And so in the confessional booth of Under the Desk News, when they're like, please, use keep both eyes open. And when then they do that thing, bitch, I do not leave both eyes open. I close one because I'm intently trying to see if I can see like the dot so I can click the button and shit, right? Because I don't want to fuck it up. So at the end of this one, they were like, you need reading glasses. I was like, what? So they put those progressive contact lenses in for short-sighted and, whatever. And I thought I was drunk. And I was like, look, if you guys are going to cover my liability exposure when I run somebody over, I'll wear progressive contacts. But otherwise, I'm just going to go straight reading glasses. So these are reading glasses, but I have learned that I need them. Like I can see you right now, but now I can really see you. And so I'm like, you know what? Like, but I don't know like that I'm taking them on and off, whatever. Yeah. Like sometimes I'll take them off and I'll clean them. Yeah. But otherwise, like, I don't even know like when I'm taking them on and off.
It is the best. Never change. Never change because I think it's a good indicator to the audience that something good is about to happen. Like you're about to learn something. And someone in the chat here also said that they noticed it too. So that's one of my favorite.
The goal is always to like teach, right? The goal is always to make your information space better.
My first thing I loved about you is when every single time you introduce Donald Trump, you call him the felon.
I still do. Convicted felon Donald Trump. The only time that I don't call him convicted felon Donald Trump, or I just call him felon Trump, is when I'm limited in characters, like on Blue Sky or something, and I don't have enough space. But otherwise, he's always convicted felon Donald Trump. It's been like my trademark for years now, and it actually got me in trouble.
Well, is it untrue though? Is it untrue?
No. But they were like, why do you have to call him that every time? I'm like, because it's technically true. And he's the person who's either going to occupy, has occupied, or is occupying the White House, right? And I'm like, I think that's such a asterisk in your history and your legacy that you're a fucking convicted felon. Yes. So why would you not highlight that to underscore the absurdity that this man is in the Oval Office again?
Correct.
But
speaking of people who have skeletons in their closet, weird stuff coming up and are in elected office.
Who that?
Markwayne.
Yes. So it's not.
Talk to me about Markwayne.
Wayne Mullin. It's Markwayne.
Markwayne.
So I'm actually in DC right now. I actually had a speaking engagement at GW last night, which was amazing. I love being on campus with the students. I love that energy. They're also earnest. And every time I see a student, I'm like, please don't hurry to grow up, is really what I say. I'm like, please relish this time where all you, quote, have to do. I mean, I'm respectful if you have a job and stuff like that in school, but really all you have to do is just be a learner, which I'm so jealous. Like, I feel like we don't appreciate that. But anyway, I am looking up right now and I see Markwayne testifying right now. And he just looks like he has some massive skeletons.
Here's the thing. I don't know if the skeletons are going to be worse than the lies he tells himself, because he has such a he believes that he served in the military. You know? Yeah, like he believes that he served in the military. And I heard something about well, we might find out that he was like a secret missionary in fucking Middle East. And I'm like, I don't think that's going to be true. I think that's like a lie.
Like a Mormon? Like a missionary?
Mercenary.
Like
sorry, mercenary.
I was like he was a secret missionary. I'm like, he was on a Mormon
Yes,
mission.
Bill O'Reilly has a secret loofah. Markwayne is a secret missionary only.
Well, Bill's loofah is not so secret anymore, so there you go. But you know what it is though. What disturbs me is, and I said this when it happened to dog killer Noam. You know, you're not getting better with Markwayne. Like he's not better. In fact, I think he's worse. And you know what's so funny though, and I think it's great that you and I are talking about this. I think if you've noticed, a lot of the people that are really kind of taking the fall in Trump regime 2.0 are the women.
Always.
Pamela Joe, she gets nailed harder than anybody, right? Yep. Christine.
Well, maybe not harder than Christine Noem. I mean, but she doesn't have access to that plane anymore. Speaking about getting nailed. I
was going to say, what happens to Corey?
We got
What's
dirty
going on
jokes
with Corey?
This morning. He
no,
follows her in the blankie, I guess. Go with
Well,
him.
Is he going to Shield of the America Summit too? Oh, Shield of the Americas, whatever shit too? Does he get a cape and like the cod piece too? Like, what is that all about?
I talked to Anna Navarro the other day, and she's like, I can't wait to see what outfits Christine Noem brings to South America. She'll be showing up in lingerie and carnival because she doesn't know anything about anything.
And the headpiece. Well, Corey, like I said, and the cod piece and the headpiece.
Oh, yeah.
So I feel like Christine Noem, Pam Bondi, they all like the whip, Alina Habba, Lindsay Halligan. I mean, you've got your bad male kind of, counterparts to all of this. But I do think people are probably thinking, oh, well, now we have a guy. Now we have a white guy who is from Central Casting. So you could squint, I could take my glasses off and be like, oh, is that Pete Hegseth testifying right now?
We don't know. Yeah.
Because he looks like,
well,
no, it's another guy with toxic bro energy who
does claim to be Cherokee. Do you know about this?
Yeah, what is that? Because
okay.
What is that all about? Because I don't think I could have sworn I read that they were not claiming him.
They are not claiming him. Like good, decent Cherokee people are not claiming him. We looked into this, and I'm going to write something about it. This goes back to the DAW Act and the $5 Indian, and when white families were paying the government $5 bribes to be able to identify as Cherokee, Chippewa, Choctaw, or Seminole. Those are the 4 tribes that were involved in the DAW Act. And essentially these white families were buying Indigenous registration, faux Indigenous registration, so that they could claim property as we were expanding in the West. It's very ugly. It's very icky, but it was actually an Indigenous creator who came to me to try and talk to me about how to phrase Markwayne claiming Cherokee.
Yeah. So how is it?
So she was like, he claims Cherokee. He is a registered member, but you have to know the context of how his family may have gotten to claim this marginalized identity. It's not proven that he has a single drop of native blood.
So I wonder when he was doing his applications for college and stuff
like that.
Did he claim that?
I think he does, because I think he tries to claim it as a marginalized identity to advance.
Oh, so wait, so he wanted to take advantage of DEI policy?
He did, yes. Now I want to be clear. I don't have the research just yet tying him to the DAW Act, but Indigenous creators have come forth to say that is their assessment, and that it should be that should be followed because people come out and they'll be like, well, at least he's Cherokee, he's the first Cherokee, and why aren't you happy that he's the first Cherokee? And they're like, because is he culturally and ethnically and of the Cherokee Nation, or is he a $5 Indian? And that is something that they need to know.
If he's a quote $5 Indian in the historical sense,
right?
And that's the worst kind of cultural appropriation, is it not?
Well, it is, and it's very much like a system of white supremacy in America, and just constantly trying to ruin things that are attempt to make things even slightly better for marginalized people, and then of course some white person comes in and colonizes.
And then ironically, he's going to go and he's going to institutionalize the weaponization against marginalized people in our United States I'm telling you, it's going to be worse under his tenure. The Bovino retiring, I'm out. Mullen is no better. In fact, he's worse. I think he's worse. Again, I just think it's because he's a white guy and he, is wearing right now, wearing a suit and looking less Noam.
He's so very
more credible or legitimate,
He so very much wants to be a soldier, like Greg Bovino so very much wanted to be an SS officer with that great coat.
With that trench coat and everything.
He so very much wants to be a soldier, and I think that he will he subscribes to certainly this idea of like domestic military, like that the ICE is a domestic military or something. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because and I think that a lot of people have come forward about him and the stolen valor concept too. So that's definitely not like new.
Right. Stolen valor big time.
No,
when he's like the fog of war, and now he's trying to say that he was a mercenary. I don't think you're right. I think you played a lot of Call of Duty, my boy. How tall is he? If he were taller, he wouldn't talk like this.
Oh, is he?
I think he's got to be a shorty. Let's look it up.
Let's see. But I don't think he's like, he is definitely. Wait, and you know what I want to know? I want to know.
5'8". He's 5'8". I fucking knew it. I knew it.
Oh, wow.
He's
48 years old.
Is he only that old?
Born 1977 in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I will say this. Here's the thing. Do you think that with his name that he'll be turned away under the SAVE Act? They can't match his name.
They're like, is Wayne the middle name?
Wayne with the middle name? I mean,
the SAVE Act is crazy, Katie Phang. And they're getting so much closer to passing it.
I'm always worried about this one because it's so restrictive and it's like the same legislation last year, but on steroids, right? And it's just so much worse. And then the requirement for states to turn over their voter rolls to DHS, which would be under this guy's, tenure. I mean, stuff like that really makes me worried. But I think that there's enough lack of support right now definitively in the Senate that it's not going to get there. But you know what's also kind of crazy to me? So when I checked in yesterday in DC, because this is a quick trip for me and I'm going home later today, the young woman who checked me in was lovely. And she's like, how has your day been? I'm like, well, it's been long. And this was like at 10, this is like 11 something in the morning. She's like, why? I'm like, well, I've been up since 3:45. Because I got to my airport 2 hours before my boarding time because I didn't know what was going to happen with TSA. And I didn't want to miss this flight because I had to moderate this panel last night. And she's like, what's happening with TSA? Now, this is a woman who works at a nice hotel in DC, and she had no idea. So I was very proud of myself. I gave her what I thought was an objective description of what is happening with DHS funding, et cetera, et cetera. She's like, is there a shutdown again? I didn't know about it. I said, well, there's kind of a mini shutdown that's happening. And I was telling her about funding for DHS and the Coast Guard and all this other stuff, whatever. And then I told her, I said, the Democrats have offered to fund TSA and the Republicans have rejected it. And that's the reason why the last paycheck was like last Friday for TSA, blah, blah, blah. So I said, she's like, thank you so much for telling me. I really appreciate it. I'm kind of embarrassed I didn't know. I said, no, you're fine. I'm like, there's so much going on right now. It's understandable. I said, but I'm like, especially in your job, you may encounter some people that are a little irate, a little tired, a little irritated, a little whatever. So it's good that you know. And the reason why I tell you this little anecdotal story is it's crazy, though, that we're not talking about that, right? Like there's so much going on that I am having problems triaging what to prioritize.
That's why I decided to go live every day because I can't possibly make enough videos. And I needed to create a routine for myself. I got caught up in a lot of like DC weird airport stuff, canceled flights, like scary things. And then I was like, I'm done. So Under the Desk News is grounded for the rest of the year. I will be staying home. I will be here in my little baby studio and Under the Desk. And I was like, well, just go live every day from 10 to 11:30. We'll have different friends pop in and just talk because I don't even know that people can learn from videos and podcasts anymore. It's kind of got to be like, that's why I wanted the chat enabled, like chat with us, chat with each other, like have people in and out because we need to like sit around a table and drink coffee. And
sadly, I can't see the chat though, so I don't really know what people
you can't see the chat. I keep putting stuff up here.
Oh,
can you see it when I put it on the stage?
Yeah. Now I see it. Yeah. So for example, Cuba, how many people know they had a total electrical grid blackout courtesy of the United States? And that is 90 miles off of my southern tip of Florida, right? Cuba is, and Cuba will be the next Venezuela. And then Ecuador, we've been doing the joint military operations with Ecuador.
That's crazy.
You know, like there's all this stuff happening simultaneously while we still have the war going on, which is a war, no matter what somebody wants to think it's not. We have this asshole testifying. We have Bondi and Blanche having a closed door meeting with oversight later today. We have the letter to Bondi. I covered that on my channel, on my YouTube channel yesterday, the Bondi subpoena, which they didn't release the subpoena. They released the letter. Why have you released the subpoena, Comer? But she's now testifying on the 14th. I got off the record confirmation that the shadow hearing that House Oversight was going to be doing in Palm Beach on the 14th in the Epstein files, that is now going to be postponed because Bondi's testifying on the 14th. So breaking news, no shadow hearing on the 14th. Bondi testifies. And then the criminal referral for Kristi Noem that also, you know, subtextually implicates Corey Lewandowski. That referral was done as well, right? I mean, to the DOJ, which, you know, the DOJ is not probably going to do, and that's about to drop on my YouTube channel. I mean, there's so much going on that, to your point, it's like, I kind of understand. What's that guy's name? Is it Piker? Hassan Piker?
Hassan Piker, Habibi, yes.
So I'm just discovering this guy. Like, I mean, I know he has millions of followers, but I don't really.
He's very cool with the kids. Yes. He's Cenk Unger's nephew from Young Turks.
Oh, so I guess Hassan literally lives online all day?
He does. He streams all day.
Like literally streams.
Honestly, I get it. I used to think it was crazy. And now given this moment, I'm like, I get it. I could be live for 8 hours and still not get through everything. You know?
Yeah. And he does it though on Twitch? Is that what it's called?
Twitch. Yes.
And that's like.
It's like most people use it for like video games and stuff. So it's like a totally different demographic, but he's very good at this.
Oh no, I'm not saying anything bad. I'm just saying that I'm discovering. And so the idea that it would sound crazy that he would be online
all day,
like all day, all night kind of thing. Yep. Like I think I read somewhere he'll say like 1 second somebody's at my door and he'll like go and
you're just at his house. Yeah, you're at his house with him all day. Yeah, he takes his dog on a walk or he like makes a snack or he does whatever. You're essentially the kids call it body doubling. It's where a lot of people are working from home or are home or isolated or work at a job where they don't feel like people around them relate.
Is this like a COVID lockdown spinoff?
Yeah.
thing?
So they put it up on like, so they'll like have his live stream always going on while they're doing their work or while they're just like around their house. And it's like having a friend around.
Oh, okay. Well, now I understand why you might be
he has
online all day that way, right? Because now, I mean, because everything's happening in real time.
Yep.
And so that's how you find out what's happening in real time.
And what's great about his setup and what I like about doing it this way also is you get you have a connection with your audience. Cause like I'm seeing comments come in, granted, I can only put the YouTube comments on the screen. We're going to try to figure out how I could get other people's comments on the screen. Cause I see Instagram is commenting too.
Like,
so you're having a conversation. So people
right now, like
right now I'm in Rochester, New York, in my little studio.
No. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to like that. I mean, like you're on Instagram.
I'm live on Instagram and YouTube. Yep, and then we'll be live on TikTok with this channel. You can't go live on Substack at the same time, so that's a little tricky. But we do.
You can't do that.
Not at the same time through StreamYard. Not so far anyway.
What if you had gone? What if you went through Substack? Started on Substack.
Probably if I had multiple cameras, but I'm just rocking out here. But I like that
I'm not
people
criticizing
can talk to us.
I think it's interesting.
No, people can talk to us and they can send him breaking news, which is what he does. So he's doing his thing, looking at whatever, giving his live comment on what he's reading or what he's doing. And then his comments will be like, hey, Hassan, this thing just happened. And then he'll talk about that. People are saying he also gets paid AdSense if he's doing it on YouTube. Yeah, there's us.
Okay, so this is us on Instagram.
Yeah. And this is, like Dawn right now is saying, I'm currently working while I listen to y'all. This is cool. This is going to be fun.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay, so this is cool. So I did not know that this is how you can do everything.
Yes. And you know what else I'm doing? I'll do Substack Live still because obviously like that's a totally different platform. But I'm only allowing guests to come on during my live stream, which is helping my quality of life. Because normally I'm like, well, when can we do a Zoom? And then I have to edit it and do all this stuff. So now anybody who wants to come on, I'm like telling them like, you have to come on between 10 and 11:30 and you get a 15-minute spot. Like you have to leave at 11 today. So Brian Derrick from Oath is coming at 11 and he's going to give us the update on all the primaries from last night. And he's going to do that every Wednesday for us, which is great because he has such good information. I don't need to spend all day trying to figure out who the primary winners were when Brian Derrick from Oath That's his whole job. And then my goal is people follow Brian or follow the underreport or Dr. Shan or you or whoever we have on, because those folks are doing this type of content every single day. So like if you liked yesterday's live where we talked about geopolitical stuff, Eric's on every single day making videos. I have to relieve myself of feeling like I have to do everything when we have so many friends that could just hop on a live and then you could follow them and they do their special trick.
No, and that's the thing that I've always appreciated about you and others is that I respect other people's expertise in their space, right? Because I also think this kind of dovetails what we were talking about mainstream. It's the same voices often, and and they're not platforming or amplifying the voices of people that are in. Yeah, please, Madison, check and make sure you're still subscribed to my YouTube channel. But like they're not dialing to some of the people that truly are. So I'll give you a really good example. May I? May I give you a good example? So I have been focusing a lot on monopolies and and big mergers. And why? Because we as consumers may not really understand the nuanced legal issues concerning monopolies and mergers, but we do understand competition and pricing. And we do understand that the paramount, big merger that resulted in CBS News being taken over, and now Barry Weiss is running it, et cetera. And now there's this potential Warner Brothers Paramount merger deal, right?
So scary to me.
That would
scary to me.
CNN and like HBO and all these other kind of things.
All the documentaries CNN does too. I mean, it's more than just your TV
CNN Internet, like all this other stuff, right? And people probably didn't know, but Netflix, when it was in the horse race against Paramount for the Warner Brothers deal, Netflix explicitly said they weren't taking CNN. They were not taking that component of the assets on the balance sheet for Warner Brothers. But now, and David Ellison, who's the son of Larry Ellison, and they're all asshole buddies with Donald Trump and the tech bros. They are all, together. And Ellison is the Paramount part of this, right? So anyway, I had on my YouTube channel 2 days ago a lawyer. Her name is Doha Mekki, Mekki. Doha Mekki was the Biden DOJ Associate Attorney General who filed the lawsuit against Live Nation Ticketmaster.
Oh, okay.
Trial that is happening in a federal court in New York City, and then there was a settlement that was reached with the Trump DOJ and Live Nation. So Live Nation is the parent company, and one of the subsidiaries of Live Nation is Ticketmaster. So we don't know Live Nation as much as we know Ticketmaster, but every one of us that is on this stream right now has been fucked by Ticketmaster one way or another.
For real.
Included, right? So I was like, well, why not get it from the horse's mouth? Why not get the real information? But nobody really knows this person, right? They don't really know of her, which they really should, because she's a spectacular lawyer. So I had her on my YouTube channel. And she not only explained the genesis of the lawsuit, but she also explains why this settlement with the Trump DOJ is terrible, which is typical, right? And how it doesn't help consumers, and why the state attorneys general that originally are part of the lawsuit, some of them settled out, many of them didn't. 32 of them said hell no of the original 40 that had sued Live Nation. And those attorneys general are forging ahead with the jury trial, even though the main plaintiff, which was the DOJ, has now gotten out. And so Doha was saying you have to always be rooting for these attorneys general, because they are the ones, and that's something I focus on my channel all the time. They are the ones that are standing in the breach when this federal government isn't doing shit to protect us. And it doesn't make a difference if you're a Republican or a Democrat in that state. If that's your attorney general, whatever they do that benefits your state, it's going to benefit you regardless of your party affiliation. So this woman not only was unbelievably beautiful, articulate, and smart and savvy, whatever, but I'm like, thank you for explaining it not only to me, but to my viewers, so they understand the implications of why you need a good DOJ that is, going after anti-competition policies and is making sure that big monopolies, like the one we're seeing with the Netflix, with the Warner Brothers Paramount and everything, all that shit's bad news, right? That's the kind of voice that people need to hear from. They don't need to hear it from me, filtered from me. They need to hear it from the person who actually drove the bus on this, and but for Trump coming in, would have actually gotten this across the finish line.
I think you are so right that we are not in a needing more headlines and breaking news. We need more explainers and like basic civic stuff and why this is happening. That's the best content for me also, is when I'm like, look, we can't win the war in Iran because of the mountains. People hear that. And then yesterday, Eric's like, let me tell you about the mountain range and about the militias that are hidden within the mountains and the way that they descend upon and the way that you can't bomb a mountain.
War in the Middle East is not like conventional war, like, you know, that you would think about, like in Europe.
The other thing that we brought up yesterday that I thought was so smart of him was the fact that, like, if you grew up in American schools, all maps are focus on the country that you are learning in. So that country looks the biggest. So growing up, if you were looking at a map, I thought Iran was the size of Rhode Island. Okay. Because if you ever look, obviously it's not, right? Obviously, but the average American person
thinks it's like a little thing, right?
Like a little thing, like maybe the size of Texas, because all growing up, our visual was the United States is this big. I didn't know that. Africa's this big and the Middle East is this big. And it's all like map propaganda. And so he had this great
American exceptionalism. That's what
that is. Exactly. And so then we got a map that's actually correct. And so then we can look at it and be like, oh wow, look, like if you were to take Iran out and then place it over the United States, wow, that's like the whole Midwest. Imagine trying to conquer the entire Midwest. That's really going to change Americans' perspective on if this is winnable and why it's so difficult.
So I will say this, that's the reason why I'm obsessed with him, like huge obsession. Retired Lieutenant General Mark Hertling.
Mm-hmm.
Good dude. He led U.S. Army in Europe.
Yeah. So
and whenever I have
also Europe is so small. Europe is like this big on the real map.
You know, it's funny. I always say part of the reason why I love to travel internationally and I appreciate the privilege of it is when I take my daughter, especially, I show her we are so arrogant in the United States. We are so young.
Yes, we're babies.
You know, the rest of the world has so much been on this planet, so much longer than us. Yep. Like their history, tradition, culture has been around like for centuries, and we're like ding ding, you know, whatever, 250 years. So anyway, that's why I bring Hertling on, because that man was in the freaking Middle East for like decades, right?
Yeah.
Like, and he was, and he can explain why this is not like slam bam, thank you ma'am kind of energy. Like this is like some serious, you have to have a plan. And the failure to have a plan right now is literally a fatal flaw in what we're doing over there. So yeah, I love that you, me, and others are making a conscious effort. Somebody said to me the other day, they're like, there's so much kind of, it was last night, they were like, there's graffiti YouTube, or there's graffiti social content that obviously grabs you, takes you in, you know, whatever. But sometimes the work that we do may not be the most viral work. Sometimes it may not be the most, you know, sexy in terms of what people are looking at right now. But it has serious meat on the bones. And that's the type of work that's important these days, I think.
It's also difficult for me as a very curious and like journalisty person to feel like I want to tell everybody everything I learned all day, but is that actually like the best use of everybody else's time? Because I know that people tune in for me. I get 3 minutes a day from most folks, right? So in my 3 minutes, do I want to use it to talk about 6 stories? Sometimes yes, but right now, is it better to be like the best person when it comes to Iran, the best person when it comes to ICE or Epstein? And that's why we're doing...
What's your conclusion on that then?
Is that I would go live every day and we would pick these topics, right? So I gave myself Monday is pop culture and propaganda, understanding that. And we have Dr. Shan, who's been my friend since we were 17 years old. She's the smartest person, but she has a doctorate in like American studies and propaganda. So she can look at the film and television that we're seeing and say, hey, this is where they're trying to get you on this. And she knows, like she was saying, that there's a couple movie studios that are working on films that would be like the way in the early 2000s we got all those like Saving Private Ryan world, like war films, because we were trying to get people excited to be at war in Afghanistan. She says now studios are starting to plan ICE movies where ICE is the good guy, or there's like a good guy on ICE.
Of the movie.
So, but we can know that and look out for that. And obviously I don't think that would fly, but she's really smart at that. I'm like, I think people are enjoying that. Allows us to talk about the headline, but also learn something. Tuesdays, geopolitical hot goss. There's nobody better than Eric when it comes to like what's actually going on, what you need to know. Wednesdays, I'm calling the intelligence report, just having on one of my smartest friends like Miss Katie Phang to kiki and learn stuff, right? But that allows us some flexibility. Thursday, good news. And Friday is the police scanner, true crime only. So Friday is Epstein, trials that are happening.
No, I'm coming on Friday.
Come on Friday.
Well.
Please come on Friday. This week we've got Dava, who is History in 60, who is an independent journalist and creator and a mom who went out to Zorro Ranch and actually found out that nobody's doing an investigation out there. So everything they're saying about investigating and sending people, she went and sat out there for 4 or 5 days. And she's like, not one car, not one nothing. There's one cop at the gate who sort of told her, you can only walk here. You can't walk over there. But she's like, they're telling you that they're doing investigations, that I'm literally out here and there's nobody here.
So I really want to talk to her because I'm actually in the process of, and I've actually kind of in the process of just really solidifying my trip to Santa Fe, because I'm actually going out there.
Yeah. So you need to connect with her. She's in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So she's local. She's so incredible. And just
that's great that she's local, because I'd love to talk to her, because it's like, for me, because I have to go, for me, it has to be a little bit more on the organized end, because I do want to speak to, because I've had him on my show before, the Attorney General for New Mexico, Raul Torres, because he has the criminal investigation. And then my friend, State Representative Andrea Romero, she's the one who led the bipartisan push to get the Epstein Truth Commission. And they have a report due in July, and it's already the end of March. So there's, they gotta get on it. And then there's all of these locals that worked at Zorro Ranch that are still living there and stuff like that. So I'm setting up all my meetings with them, because I feel like that's one thing that's been underreported for years now, has been the Zorro Ranch connection.
And she's been on this since it was local news, right? She's from New Mexico, so she lives in Albuquerque.
Florida. That's so fun. So it's been local for us.
She's like, it's been local for so long. So I've known about Zorro Ranch like forever. And like, there was always like little local news stories, things going on that people knew that this was happening. And so it's very interesting to see what she's saying is happening locally on the ground. Now, somebody in the comments is saying, does that mean that the senator video a couple of days ago was all BS? I think that they are planning investigations, and maybe they're digging into archives and things that they have at the police department or in their offices. But she was out there and she's like, there's not one cop car. It's concerning that they're saying that they want to dig for this alleged, like,
well, this is also a 10,000 acre
huge place.
Property. So
she's like, they want to dig and look for bones, but like, why wouldn't there be like a very serious police perimeter? She was just saying how close she was able to get to it seemed concerning. How you can be on the land but not near the house seems concerning. It doesn't feel like cordoned off well enough. So I think she'll be interesting to chat with too. She's really smart. So she'll be on with us on Friday.
That weekly lineup sounds like, you're right. It covers the waterfront for the issues that are kind of like front and center for most people. And that is the challenge, I think.
Yeah. Where is Nancy Guthrie? Sorry to interrupt you, but where is Nancy Guthrie? In addition, I'm devastated by this. I think about it probably like still 4 or 5 times a day.
I hated to say this. Maybe I already did say this to you, V, but I feel like that woman has been,
there's no way.
She's been gone since the very beginning. I got to be honest with you. I don't think that this is something that is, I don't think this is, the prospects are good. And I think the lack of closure is probably going to be one of the most painful thing, if not the most painful thing for the family, right? That's all you want to have is closure on this.
And Savannah's such a nice person. She's such a like thoughtful, nice person. I remember when I was like first getting into doing Under the Desk, they did like a little thing on Today's Show with Shaniel and me. And I asked her like, what's your like advice? And she's like, don't read the comments. It'll slow you down and it'll make you sad. And I was like, okay, but I actually read all of my comments. And she was like, maybe you do now, but don't let it become an obsession. Just think in your mind, if you're reading the comments too much and they're making you too distracted, maybe don't read the comments so you can focus on the work. And I was like, that's really nice of her to say.
Well, and that's why I was telling you, I think before we went live, like I've been having like imposter syndrome kind of energy the last
talk to me about that.
So
you're such a big star, Katie.
Oh, well, first of all, I don't ever think that. Like there's the word star or celebrity like definitely never like crosses my path. Candidly, I think part of it is and I hate to maybe burst people's perception bubble of what it was like at my old job, but it was not as collegial as perhaps people think that it was.
Yeah.
And that was hard because I left a profession that I had really like clawed my way to kind of get to a point where I was standing on my own 2 feet, having my own law firm, having my own clients, like, because in the legal profession, like it is in many professions, one, it is still predominantly male, and two, and it is 100% driven by, do you have the book of business? Because if you don't get the seat at the table to have any say in what's going on. And even then, when you have the book of business, then the whole issue ends up being, well, are you an equity partner or not an equity partner? Do you buy in? Do you not? And it's a lot more complicated. And one day I feel like I should probably do a deep dive on it so people understand exactly why big law capitulating to Trump like they did last year was a really difficult thing for a lot of young associates, especially young female or progressive associates that were like, our views and our values don't align with the law firm, and yet we still don't want to cut our nose off to spite our face for career advancement, et cetera, right? But for me to leave and then go to a new space, I had to learn everything on my own because nobody taught me. Like literally nobody taught me anything. And then the way that the way the rug was pulled out from underneath my feet, it was really kind of scary and demoralizing. And this, I spoke to you immediately after it happened about what to do. And then, it hasn't even been a year, V, that I've been gone. Like my official departure date was May 1st of 2025.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It hasn't even been a year.
Wow.
And so this has been all new. Like everything is new, and figuring out, like, do people care about the metrics? Do people not? Like, I don't care. Like, that's why I love doing what I'm doing, because you may not necessarily understand or love the topic that I'm covering, but I do. And that's the privilege I have of having my own space to do it. But I don't know. Like there was just some stuff that's been happening where I'm like, am I not doing it the right way? Is there a right way to do this? And am I meeting whatever, like I said, those maybe metrics are that define what your success is? And then, because it's weird, because I tell people success is defined in different ways. Like that's for you is, V, that you can work from home now, right? At a very important time in your life, you're going to work from home. You're still going to provide a service and a value to your followers and to even those that are not following you. Like in my mind, that's success.
That's my success.
Yeah.
I think I'm lucky to have decided that I only ever want to be medium famous. And so
but you're not, though. You're like more than medium famous.
But I refuse to accept that. Like, you won't accept that you're a star. And I think this is why we stay good, right? You can never think you're cool. The second you think you're cool, it's over, right? You could believe in yourself, but you can never really like think you're cool. But it is a tricky thing. And I think folks expect that imposter syndrome is only for people at the beginning part of their career.
Oh, no.
It comes up and it comes up and it comes up. I had imposter syndrome the other night because I won like at the award.
At the GLAAD Awards?
No, the GLAAD Awards, I was like, okay, good. I have validation from my peers and I am a gay journalist. And I really wanted to win that just for like the people, for like me. That was like something I really wanted to always have on my name, that I was a GLAAD Award winner. That like meant a lot to me. And I wanted that responsibility. And I wanted to be able to say that every time I get something else for GLAAD and for gay people. Like I wanted to be able to have that. I won an RTDNA award, the First Amendment Award, which I guess is like an extremely high honor in like trad media world. I didn't know what it was. And then I'm winning with like Jennifer Griffin, who is incredible and like one of my like absolute heroes in reporting. I think she is the bravest, smartest person to ever report on the Pentagon. And like I'm sitting at the table with like Steve Bertrand and like the guy who used to run 60 Minutes and left because, I'm like, this is crazy. And then I didn't have like a 15-minute like speech. I was like, look, I'm from TikTok. It'll be under 3 minutes. And I just like winged it, honestly. But like, I came out of that and was like, I don't know if that's for me either. Like you have these moments where even when you are being celebrated for something, you feel so like unmoored from the real world. And you're like, what does this mean? And like, I kept hearing like outstanding journalism for the last 2 weeks. And I was like, I feel such a higher responsibility to provide outstanding journalism. But what is that? Am I already doing that?
Like, how is that defined?
What does that mean? And then you feel like I should change what I do. But you shouldn't change what you do, because what you do is what got you where you are. And so for you, Katie Phang,
kind of like a chicken and the egg thing.
You are already doing it. I mean, I think what happened to you at MS Now was absolutely fucked up. And I think that the decisions that were made at that network possibly came from a place of lack or a place of weirdness for them getting sold off. I don't know that the rebranding really tells me that they know exactly who they are.
They just announced right now. Somebody just sent me a New York Post article. MS Now announced this morning it's cutting an hour from Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski's Morning Joe as part of a drastic overhaul of the beleaguered network's programming under Chief Rebecca Cutler.
Gotta say, I'm not sad about that.
Starting in June, viewers will notice a slew of changes across morning, daytime, primetime, and weekend coverage. So Morning Joe now goes from 6 to 9. It used to be 6 to 10. And what else are they doing? Major role changes for Ali Velshi, Stephanie Rule, Jacob Soboroff, Luke Russert, Alicia Menendez, and Chris Jansing. Sorry.
Those are all my faves, though. Genuinely.
I don't know what's going to happen to them. What does that mean? Oh, wait.
Are they going to give Stephanie Rule more time?
Wait. Stephanie Rule now will no longer have the 11 o'clock hour anymore. She will now be leading a new morning show from 9 to 11 during the week.
Look, I'm a Stephanie Rule stan. I like Stephanie Rule's
Alicia Menendez is out from, it looks like, the weeknight. She will be booting Chris Jansing from the 12 to 2 slot with a new solo show.
Okay.
Jansing will lose her weekday show and will return to a full-time reporter role. Luke Russert will now join the weeknight alongside Simone Sanders and Michael Steele.
Luke.
And then
I see Luke in the Bills games. I didn't think
Oh, here we go. Ali Velshi will now take over the 11 o'clock show, the 11th hour.
Okay. Let me just say.
And Jacob Soboroff will take over Ali's weekend show from 10 to 1.
That's a long time for him. He could hang it.
And then All In with Chris Hayes comes back to Mondays at 8 o'clock. Because the weeknight will air for just 1 hour instead of 2 now. So they cut it back now.
That's the Simone Sanders show?
I mean, these are... Oh, and Anna Cabrera is now gone from her show completely.
Okay. Gut reactions. One, I don't care that they took away an hour from Joe. I think they give way too much deference to Joe and Mika, and I think it's a stupid thing now with where we're at with them and Trump and all kinds of whatever. I'm never going to get booked on this network again, but I don't care. So I'm good with that. I love Ali. Ali is incredible. So is Ali she does Up Too Early. She's getting a better show time now? Or she's...
Alicia Menendez?
No, Ali.
Velshi?
Ali Vitale.
No, Ali Vitale. No, she stays where she is. It's Ali Velshi. It's Ali Velshi from the weekend. Yeah, so now he's on the 11th, and now he's in the 11th hour.
I don't like that for him. I don't think he's a late night guy. I think he's a nice afternoon man. And I think Stephanie Rule is a late night girly. Stephanie's a lot of energy for 9 a.m.
For 2 hours.
No, and I like her. I like her show, but I like her nighttime show. I think her nighttime show is for like...
Okay, and here, you want to read the tea leaves a little bit more before I have to go? So Jacob Soboroff takes over Ali Velshi's time slot on the weekends.
Okay.
It's 10 to 1, and he remains a senior political reporter. So the guy not only has to do that for 3 hours, and he also is a senior political reporter. So, they're
Caitlin Collinsing him. They're like, bitch, you're going to be on all day.
And then, like I said, they cut the weeknight from 2 hours to just 1. So it's 7 to 8. And that's the one that Luke Russert is going to join. Chris Jansing's gone, and now she's just a reporter. Anna Cabrera, nobody knows what she's going to do now. And then Alicia is good, but Alicia will now be in the middle of the day from 12 to 2.
That's a bummer.
And what's interesting, though, is the daytime programming is supposed to be straight news, right? That's how it's supposed to be. But you're not supposed to have opinion during that time. It's supposed to just be straight news.
Wow. Stephanie Rule in the morning. That's crazy.
9 to 11 o'clock.
Wow, that's crazy. That really is crazy. She's such a nighttime girly. Luke Russert coming on as a regular is also kind of unusual to me because Luke does all their live programming and he's kind of like, I don't see him as like an everyday on TV guy. I like Luke. I go to Bills games with him. He's a fucking dope dude.
Who knows? I mean, I don't know
how interesting.
I don't know how well their live programming has been doing.
Wait, so they're putting Luke on the weekend, which is Simone, Eugene.
The weeknight.
The weeknight, which is Simone, Eugene, and Jonathan.
Wait, hold a second. Luke Russert. Wait, hold on. No, he's going to be on Simone and Michael Steele.
Would they need to add a white guy to the show?
Well, it is.
Girl, I'm telling you.
It's
that's on record forever. I said it out loud.
Yeah.
I like
so now it's
regressant.
him
Wow,
with
interesting.
Simone Sanders and Michael Steele Monday through Friday at 7 p.m.
That is really something. Wow. That's hot tea for our last couple minutes here. Okay.
Thank you to the New York Post for
Thanks,
sending
New York Post. Wow. Yeah, I'm not sure what's up with MS now and like where they're going and what they're doing and how they're holding on. I also think, they got the Crooked deal going with them. And I'm surprised that they didn't put one of those podcasts in one of these spots or something, which I also think is kind of like telling of like where MS now is if we're still on like 2008 Obama era type dreams, or if, like,
which is, by the way, not fresh content because it's all from the week that's been recycled. So MS Now bought recycled content during the week to drop on 8 p.m. or 5, whatever the hell time it is on Saturday.
A good time. Yeah, that's interesting. And now I know they're making like because I was on Stephanie and Ali's YouTube show the other day, which was fun, but I need people who have TV jobs to stop trying to take creator jobs. I don't need you all to have a podcast and a show. Just do your show and then syndicate your podcast like a normal person. Okay. Like play your Katie Phang, it's true. And now, like, they have Clock It with
Field. I don't know. You know what? I listen, I agree with you. It's just too much and it's unnecessary. And you know what? If you don't like what you're doing in mainstream, then don't be in mainstream anymore. But at this point, it's like
I'm trying to make them all have a TikTok account, all have a podcast, all have a TV show. If I have a TV show, I'm not doing this shit. Okay. Like it's too much work. People are going to get sick of your face. You're sucking all the air out of the room, man. Although I'm going to stick up for Audi Cornish again, my girl, my ride or die, my number one, because she does. I like Audi because I think she's got a good structure, and I hope that nobody ever messes with her. Her 6 to 7 a.m. show, fantastic, really kicks off the day. Then you can use those clips for the rest of the day. Then she does her podcast, which is more deep dive NPR-y. Then she goes home. Go home after your show. Like do your 2 hours, do your thing.
Listen, I used to be at MSNBC at 2 a.m. in the morning every Saturday and Sunday for 2 years in a row.
Those bastards.
So trust me, I understand those morning schedules, but
I know. I love Miss Audi Cornish though. She's so good to me. But
I'm sorry that I have to book.
I know. We'll see you soon. Brian Derrick is going to be joining us in just a second here. He's going to be getting on to give us all the highlights from the primary. And Katie, please come back for an intelligence report next Wednesday
100%.
or the Wednesday after or whenever 100%. You can. Next Monday, we've got Amanda's Mild Takes coming. So we'll have you the week after maybe.
You'll have to evict me. I'll be here so much.
Perfect. Come for a good news.
Oh, yeah. I'll do that.
All right. Bye, Katie. Bye. Thank you. All right. So we're hanging. I friggin' love Katie Phang. Talk about an incredibly intelligent, thoughtful, hardworking person. And like we said, even Katie Phang has a little feeling of imposter syndrome sometimes. I think a lot of that comes from burnout. I used to teach this thing at the James Beard Foundation where I would teach like young chefs and women-owned restaurants how to open their restaurant, how to expand their business. The 6 a.m. show I like on CNN is Audi Cornish from NPR. She's now on CNN. And one of the things we would talk about is so many chefs and small business owners talk about burnout and they're like, I'm burnt out. I don't care anymore. I don't want to do it anymore. But like I have a responsibility to my community, or this is my business, or this is all I know. And a lot of times the burnout comes from feeling alone. And I think that's where a lot of us are feeling right now. We're feeling a little bit alone in the world, feeling alone when we're watching TV and getting stressed out. We feel lack of community because we're down in third spaces. But we're about to be a little bit less alone right now because my good friend Brian Derrick is here. Hi, Brian Derrick from Oath. What's going on?
I am so excited to be here. How are you?
I am so good. We just had Katie Phang on and we got all the tea on Bill O'Reilly's loofah issues and the shakeup at MS Now. I'm not sure if you saw it. Literally just came out. No. They're moving. Okay, so here's the hot tea. They're moving Stephanie Rule from the 11 o'clock hour show. She's going to take over at 9 a.m. And she'll do 9 to 11. So Joe Scarborough and Mika got cut by an hour. Stephanie's moving to the morning. Ali Veshi is coming to weekdays. Jacob is coming to weekends. They're cutting the weeknight to just 1 hour, and they're adding Luke Russert.
Oh, wow.
First of all,
that's actually wild. Yeah.
Isn't it so much to think about? I'm like, wow, this is fascinating changes.
Does this mean we're going to see more of you?
Yes, probably. We'll see. I don't know. I'm on MSNBC next weekend. I'm on Saturday night. I get booked on the weekend a lot. I've not got booked on their day shows. I did a thing with Jen Psaki, but the thing we were saying is like, all of the TV personalities, now the networks are forcing them to have a YouTube show, a Substack, and a podcast. If you have a TV show, you have enough job for me. Do your hour and go home. Like, I don't know that we need to be making these on-air talents do so many shows.
Yeah, everyone has to simultaneously be their own platform and lift up the platform of the actual company. It's kind of wild.
Like, I liked being on Jen Psaki's YouTube because it was, or her, well, she does Psaki Bombs on Thursday, which I think is fun, but I was on her Substack and I was like, this is fun because she's really kicked back and candid. But I'm like, you don't need to do this many shows, Jen. I think they're going to burn out their on-air talent. Like, people are going to get sick of it. You can't be everywhere all day.
I'm also a little curious if this is going to sort of be the inverse or roll back the distrust in mainstream media or accelerate it. If all of the, right? Like, if all of your talent is actually building all of the trust and name ID to have their own platforms, then you're bleeding all of your like intellect and brand trust from the brand itself. I don't know.
That's what I thought. I was like, this is weird. But I was saying my favorite show to go on is Audi Cornish. First of all, I'm an early morning girly. I love to be on in the 6 to 7 o'clock because then I get to use the clips for the rest of the day. So it gives me like a break.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Girl, nobody watched it at 6 and 7. So I'm like, this is fresh content at 1 p.m. when I edit it and put it up.
100%. The news is there. There's already stuff to talk about at 5 a.m. So
yes. Okay. But Brian, tell folks who might not be aware a little bit about your company. Brian's going to give us the headlines on everything that happened in the primaries yesterday and what we're looking out for. He's going to do this every week on Wednesdays for us as available, because for me to go around and try to trace all these winners would take hours. And I was like, I have a friend who does this as a job.
That's what I do. That's what I'm here for. So yeah, if you're not familiar, I am the co-founder and CEO of Oath. Oath is a platform that helps donors figure out where their dollars will have maximum impact and where they can actually move the needle in the races that matter the most. There are thousands and thousands of races going on this year all over the country. And so we're tracking in the weeds of where candidates with a little bit more help can change the political landscape of a state or of the country as a whole, can flip Congress, things like that. And then we make all of that data and those recommendations available to everyone for free. So the idea is, like, Elon Musk has an entire team of people dishing out his billions of dollars that he spends in the political space. And we want to have that same level of strategy behind the $10 or $100 that grassroots donors are going to give, so that we can ultimately put a thumb on the scale in favor of grassroots over billionaires.
Love it. Love it. And I've been friends and learning about you for the last, like, I feel like we started like 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, you were doing Oath. And I thought it was just the coolest thing. And I should have worn my Data Over Drama hat, which is their merch, which is iconic and I love. Yes. So give us the rundown. What were the big, things that happened yesterday?
Yeah, for sure. So we had the primaries in Illinois last night. And I think that the most watched races were the primary for U.S. Senate on the Democratic side. This is Dick seat. He's retiring. And so there was a expensive race to see who was going to replace him. The general's not expected to be competitive. So the winner of the primary basically is guaranteed to hold this seat moving forward. And then the other really highly watched race was Illinois' 9th congressional district. And that was
Abou-Ghazala and Daniel Bliss. Yes.
Yes. And so we got a Stratton win in for U.S. Senate, right? She was outraised, I should say, about 8-1, which is crazy. Raj Krishnamurthy, current member of Congress, had raised over $30 million, which in a Democratic primary is nuts. That's a ton of money.
That is way too much money. At what point is this like money laundering and a grift, though? Like, the amount of money it costs to run for office is just, it's sickening.
Yeah. Once you get up into those figures, I think people will also not be surprised to know that you start to see like 70-80% of the money going to a handful of consultants, a handful of vendors that do all the media buying and that kind of thing. And so Yeah, that's part of the ecosystem that we're trying to disrupt because so much money goes to waste. And it also had been the source of a lot of controversy that some of those donors overlapped with Trump donors and with Republicans. And there was a lot of pushback that he got. I'm not surprised to see a Stratton win. Pritzker, the current governor of Illinois, had gone sort of all in for her. She's his lieutenant governor. And there was outside spending on her behalf, as well as tons of outside spending for Krishnamurti as well. So ultimately right now, I think it's like a 7-point margin. Last I checked, which is definitely a larger win percentage in a three-way race than was expected.
I love to see a Black woman win, so I'm excited for her. I mean, he's good too, but I think that this is a good moment that heals a little bit of my Kamala burn. Still, I'm like, see, Black women can win. Black women can win, you dummies online who say stupid stuff.
And I think that it's also part of this overall narrative that being identified with the establishment or in any way seen as a status quo candidate is really dangerous this year in both parties. People are very upset. There is a lot of energy behind a new Democratic Party, behind a new direction for the country. And so if you are not clearly painting the picture of how you're going to be a right-hand turn from where we are currently headed, people are not here for it. And there's, I think, an ongoing, I mean, of course, when it comes to AIPAC, but just generally when it comes to big money, I think there's a pretty coordinated strategy to fight against the flood of money that in the last couple of cycles has been really successful in pushing their preferred candidates through competitive primaries. But same as we saw in New Jersey 11, the Mikey Sherrill seat that was vacated, where like a real surprise outcome there as well, not from the candidate who had the most outside spending on their behalf.
You know what this kind of reminds me of, and they didn't have the race yesterday, but when Jack, the Kennedy boy, is running for New York 12, and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer have been like really loving on him. And I'm like, this is a death kiss, Jack. This is not going to help you.
I know. That's my district. And I have strong feelings about it. I was surprised to see that Pelosi endorsement. And
so
I feel like
character for her, so bad for him to not look like a Nepo establishment industry plant. I was like, oh no, Jack.
Odd bedfellows, because I feel like he's also pulling in a lot of people who otherwise would be ignoring the primary entirely because he does have the online sort of juice and profile. He's not my candidate in the race. I will tell you that, but that's like not why I'm here. But
I mean, but you get to vote in that one, which I'm very jealous of, which is very exciting. And I know obviously you're voting for George Conway or
yes, mark me down.
Mark me down for George. That race, if one thing that race is doing is bringing national attention to the importance of primaries and the importance of really knowing your candidate and not picking a meme candidate, not picking an establishment person, not picking the former Republican who's pretending to be like more left-wing now. It's really making people dig into, what do you stand for? What are your issues? Where does your money come from? And I think that that's cool.
100%. And what do you want your member of Congress to do? Because you shouldn't pick the person that you want for president as your member of Congress, because the jobs are totally different. And so I also feel like it is forcing a conversation about what the real role is of a Democratic member of Congress in this moment, as Trump is shredding the Constitution and trampling everything that the vast majority of the country holds dear and values. What do we expect from our members of Congress? And I think that's different than the answer most people would have given 2 years ago.
I agree. But, you know, my thing is I want somebody who's going to get in there and like do articles of impeachment and be a lawyer and like be mouthy and like not and stand up to them. But then in the Texas Senate primary, we saw Tellerico take over from Jasmine Crockett, where I would have thought Jasmine Crockett was a little bit more of like a scrappy fighter, and Tellerico is a little bit more of that kind of like, you know, he's got that pastoral kind of angel halo over him where he's like willing to find common ground. And that was different.
Yeah. And I think that two things can be happening at once. And in some ways, it's about the political leanings of the district or state that we're talking about. So just using results from last night as an example, Axios, which I refer to a lot on my own channels, has a piece out this morning about how progressives were like annihilated in Illinois last night. I think it's really, really overstating what happened. I think what we actually got was a very mixed result, right? There were 4 highly competitive primaries on the Democratic side for House seats. And in 2 of them, pretty moderate candidates won against progressive challengers. And in 2 of them, more progressive candidates won against more moderate challengers. And so the interesting thing there is that the districts where the more progressive candidates won were like D+20 to D+35 kind of districts, where you have a lot of different flavors of Democrat in that district, voters who can line up behind a candidate and build that coalition out. Where the more moderate candidates won was in more of like a D+5 or a D+9 kind of district. And so both
more
things
mixed.
can be happening at the same time. In your example in Texas, right? It's not a D+30 environment. It's a D. Well, it's not a D+ anything environment, but even in a primary like that, you're talking about a different sort of coalition of voters. And I think that there can still be really strong demand for these fighters and for people, leaders like Jasmine Crockett. And there can also be this lane for more of the like reach across the aisle or maybe that's not the right way to put it. More of a like big tent expansive definition of what being a Democrat looks like.
Everybody is on their journey towards wherever they're going within the Democratic Party. And I think for me, I was very aggravated with the Axios reporting about progressives getting destroyed. And also, like somebody said, Joe Scarborough this morning was like, they got wrecked. And it's like, that's centrist people trying to prove that the center is the place to be. And that's just not going to fly for everybody, and certainly not for me. But I think what Kat Abou-Ghazaleh was able to do with her campaign will have lasting effects on many future campaigns. To go from practically not even named, like no chance at all, to coming within a few points of Daniel was really like a monumental effort, and shows that actually it can be done. This is for the first time it's being done to get that close. Well, the second time it gets a little closer, maybe you win. The third time, maybe you definitely win. So I think we're seeing people, certainly Gen Z, if they're not breaking the glass ceiling of like where the Democratic establishment has set the bar, they're certainly put a lot of chips in it. They have weakened it, and we'll see punching through over the next couple of years.
You're 100% right. And it is both. It is a time, like longitudinal look, and it's also about shots on goal. Oath just put out a report. I don't know if you saw it. It got covered in NPR about how just the sheer volume of millennial and Gen Z candidates that are running against these older incumbent Dems. There's over 70 House Democrats that are over 65 years old. 80% of them, more than 80%, are running for re-election.
So crazy.
And it's wild. It's wild. A lot of them will be in their 80s. And in the 2024 cycle, just 2 years ago, less, all of those candidates, all of those electeds only had about 24 challengers between them that were under the age of 45, that were millennials or Gen Z. That has quadrupled from the 2024 cycle to the 2026 cycle. And there's not just more of them running, they're better funded. Donors are lining up behind them. They've raised over $21 million collectively. And so, no, Kat did not win, but it's also just about shots on goal, having many, many candidates running in different districts and different environments, so that some can break through and bring about the generational change that I think you and I both agree is so desperately needed in the party.
And I think a candidate like Kat in some of the town halls and the debates was able to push, is it Biss or Bliss?
I think it's Biss.
Biss was able to push Biss, who is a more progressive, not as progressive as her, but more progressive, further progressive. Because when they had to raise their paddle, I always think of them raising their paddle, who would not support Hakeem Jeffries for leader. She was like all the way up, and he was half up with his hand, but he might not have done that had he not had her to sort of pull him this way,
Yeah.
you know, and then the woman who lost was like, no. But I think that there was great action in that particular race, showing how even that winner will be influenced by her having been there at all. And that is the power of running for office in a small local space. Even if you're running, I mean, she was running for federal office, but for local, state, and congressional seats, maybe you don't win, but maybe you pull a little bit more your way.
Absolutely. And there are so many examples of that around the country right now. I don't know how closely you're watching the Pelosi seat in San Francisco, but that's another one that has a very similar sort of profile to the Illinois race.
How's that going right now?
Well, you have
Shakeup. Yep.
Yeah, is that it? Shakeup, thank you. Versus Scott Wiener, who's in the legislature, and that has just caught a ton of attention, more and more money flowing in, and it's always those lightning rounds that are like these viral moments. And that's the environment that we live in now. In an attention economy where most people who are not us have very limited attention span for politics. If you cannot make your values clear in that type of setting, you're going to have a harder time breaking through to voters. And that's part of Democrats' issue is it's always a dissertation instead of just like the headline of this is where I stand, take it or leave it.
Yep.
And that's what people are so sick of, that everything feels like it's by committee.
And so media trained. Media trained. I'm like, please stop saying the same thing. Exactly.
Be
feral.
Yeah, we'll see. That primary is not till June, but definitely going to be watching it very closely as more and more money flows in as well.
So who else was a winner last night? Did we have any other good ones?
Yeah, so we also had, I have my full list here, Donna Miller. I don't know if you watched the Melissa Bean race. That was one that was also, I would say, on the, like, got on the spicier side. One of the big stories out of Illinois was just how much money was spent by APAC and AI and crypto super PACs. And they are standing up a lot of different entities to move money into these races. And they're also pursuing different strategies where a lot of the ads, instead of saying, we're a crypto or we're an AI company and this candidate is bad on AI, they'll instead say they're not strong enough on ICE and attack them from the left and try and chip away at their voters from the left. And so there's a lot of
good to look out for. Look out for.
It's a shifting landscape for what this money is going to look like in the midterms. And we saw some of that play out in Illinois last night, resulting in the Bean win. I think it's worth noting that Republicans are entering this a cycle with a historic cash advantage over Dems. There's never really been anything like it in our modern politics. I think it's close to 5-1 when you include all of these outside groups. Trump's super PAC has hundreds of millions of dollars. Elon Musk's super PAC and similar entities are just stockpiling cash. And so it's really important coming out of these primaries that these Democrats are going to be able to clearly message about who they are, what they stand for, to build the coalition to win in the general, even when they have these very spicy, hard-fought primaries. We need to get comfortable with that and say, that's okay. We want candidates to have to fight for the Democratic share of the vote through a primary, and we're going to support them over these like corporate sellout, billionaire-backed Republicans where we have to in order to win.
That is the tricky part about these primaries, is it's hard when they go so on personal attacks to then pivot and be like, okay, no, but I am, I was a Crocketeer. I was all for Crockett, but I was all for Crockett in terms of like me being able to talk about how many congressional visits she made to detention centers, the way that she was helping families and things like that's the stuff that I was really interested in. I thought at the federal Senate level, we don't have a lot of that like focus on detention centers and ICE the way that we do at the congressional level. And she would bring a lot of what I thought America's, really concerned with right now is ICE. She had a lot of experience with that and she could bring that to the Senate, and she's a lawyer and be interesting. And I just was a Crocketeer for her. I never had anything bad to say about Tallarico, though. Like, he's also a very good candidate who has a lot of really, really good ideas. And I think it got so tricky when it got into, like, not even identity politics of the candidates, but of the creators and of the public that was supporting them. And it became like a whole crazy thing. And so now that pivot is hard. And I hope we learn from that pivot that it's better to talk up why you like your candidate as opposed to why the other primary candidate in the Democratic race is bad, because now it's like we're seeing people have a hard pivot to be like, no, obviously I'm going to support Tallarico, obviously.
And it's what's missing for Democrats in the general too, because
what are we supporting? What are we here for?
We have truly defined ourselves by being against Trump for the last 10 years. And this actual collective vision and collective values of the party have really withered as we've focused so heavily on this is under threat, this is under attack, this community is under attack. And all of those things are true, right? Yeah. Like, Trump does threaten all of those things. Trump does threaten the Constitution and democracy and all of these things. And we have to offer people a path forward out of it. And that's how we shift away from this lesser of two evils mindset that so many people have, because you're not showing them the alternative.
What are you for? We learned a new word on Tuesday's show. It's Schismogenesis, which is a word that was coined by a German anthropologist in 1935. And he invented this word Schismogenesis, which talks about the human phenomenon of when political candidates aren't presenting value and really living those values, people are more likely to identify by what they hate and how much that benefited Hitler, because he was able to create, like Trump does, a vague enemy. And you were like, yeah, I hate that. Or, well, I might not want to be a Nazi, but I'm certainly not a snowflake. And so, like, how many people are like, I don't really like what MAGA's doing. I've come to learn that Trump's policies don't benefit me or my community, but the alternative is to have to be a libtard, right? Like, all the terrible things they say, and the schismogenesis makes it impossible because you've identified this other thing as everything you hate, as opposed to looking at things as a value set. And I was like, that's good to think about.
I think that's a helpful framework to sort of work through what the next phase of this looks like, especially with Trump not being able to run in the future. That there is allegedly, well, right. But
well, like, Obama will run if Trump does or something. I saw them being like, I'll register, whatever.
Did you see that super viral clip of the woman who voted for Trump 3 times at the gas pump? I think everyone's
seen it.
Has seen that now. I'm curious your thoughts as to, like, what is our message to her? Like, what is the Democratic message to that woman? She's voted for Trump 3 times. Yep. She now feels duped. At least she's saying, okay, I guess that makes me an idiot. She's standing at a gas pump paying an extra $1 per gallon because of a war that Trump started that he said he would not start. What is the Democratic message to her?
I have an answer. I have the answer.
Yeah.
So, because I went through this with my own family, we have to remember that people are not just switching. They weren't just duped and lied to about their political party. It's not like, oh, I voted for Bush and now I don't like it, but I could vote for Romney. Like, you can't even stay on that side of the party because it's all Trump. It's been completely co-opted. There is no Romney Republican anymore. There's no John McCain Republican anymore. You're dealing with a person who has realized that they have an addiction and that addiction is hurting them and their family. It's different than switching sports teams, being like, I'm sick of the Bills losing, so I'm going to be a Patriots fan, right? That's a hard switch. This is even harder than that. And so I think we need to treat it not with pity and not with open arms, but with like I'm really proud of you for recognizing that. I'm really grateful that you recognize that. Giving them power for the decision they make, rewarding that decision that they have realized, whether it's too late or not, it doesn't matter. We're here now. Is a powerful one and a correct one, so that they continue further down that path and they continue a path of curiosity and discovery of thinking like, yeah, I do make good decisions. So that was a bad one. I don't like how I feel about that. I've gotten positive reinforcement for how I've taken accountability for the decision I made, and I can make maybe the next good decision. And maybe the transition for them is to talk about like some cool local thing that happened because of a Democrat or because of somebody who wasn't in their typical voting bloc, or even an anti-Trump Republican, if that's going to be, right? Maybe the transition isn't for that gas station woman from being a 3-time Trump voter to being, a Joe Biden lover, like voting for Kat Abou-Ghazala or something. Maybe it's listening to some things that Adam Kinzinger has said about what happened to him with MAGA. Maybe it's listening to some things that General Mattis has said about what happened to him with MAGA. And I think that is more the transition. It might be a little bit slow, but I think by 2028, we get to a place where they're looking for who they are and what they value. And they recognize that they were duped and lied to. Doesn't mean they have to continue to be duped and lied to. The other thing is, for some people, it's just not fun anymore. There's some guys that my dad golfs with, and the way that they would go to like MAGA rallies in Florida is like a Jimmy Buffett concert. It was fun. Everybody's there. Everybody's having a good time. They're wearing the merch. They're having a good time. They don't even stay for the whole speech sometime. It's about the third place in community. And there wasn't a third place or community. So it was easy to make that one of them. And their thing is like, it's not fun anymore. I'm so fucking sick of it, man. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the hat. I'm sick of the drama. I'm sick of the weird stuff he does. I'm sick of his crypto bro stuff. I certainly don't like the war. So I think the message to the woman at the gas station is the message to my dad's golfing buddies is MAGA's not fun anymore. Or you've realized that, you have an addiction and it's caused harm. Choose differently. It's not too late to choose differently.
I love that. I do feel like that's so much of what we need from whoever is going to be our leader in 28, especially, that's going to help us reshape what the Democratic Party is and looks like moving forward. Because if you can't do that, and if you don't have that message for that voting block, then we do stay in a pendulum place where like, sure, we're going to get a couple of years and we're going to do what we can. And then a couple of years are going to go to them and they're going to try and exactly.
Yep.
And that kind of feels like the way out.
I want to address this comment about people saying, I feel like the MAGA people are just expecting validation from folks who've been saying this for years. It's possible to be happy somebody's here, but not excuse their journey. And I completely agree with this. And this is why I have a difficult time when certain members of the big tent want to be like, it's a big tent. We should have Kamala Harris campaign with Liz Cheney. No, we shouldn't. Okay. No, that was a big mistake. Same thing with now. I am not willing to fully accept these people into the inner core and into the safe spaces and into the community that we have built, because these people have done horrible damage to trans people who are still dealing with the horrible damage. So I can't trust you to come all the way in, but you can know that like when you know how to act right and apologize for what you've done and be a part of the solution to correct some of the harm, then you can come all the way in. But there are some people who are not from a marginalized or affected community or weren't as affected as much, who are such a quick rush to try and recruit Republican voters to be Democratic voters at the cost of their base. And that's where I think it gets tricky. You can't invite former Proud Boys into the Democratic tent when they have done horrible and irreparable damage to Black and Hispanic people. You know what I mean? Like there has to be.
For sure. I hear that. And from my perspective, continuing with this particular woman for the moment, I'm thinking about it less as a door policy of like, should this woman be allowed in or not? And more so, she is looking at the ass pump and turning and looking around for a sign somewhere that says cheaper gas. And so I think that we point in the direction of cheaper gas, and that be so indicative of like a broader economy that works for everyone, and say, we're going this way. If you want to come, but we are passionate about this and we are going this way. On the flip side, you look at the way that MAGA has co-opted Nicki Minaj. I'm fascinated by it. I'm fascinated by it.
Oh my gosh.
Nicki Minaj embodies none of the values that the conservative right, the evangelical right, that's honestly the heart of Trump's base, claim to represent and claim to hold dear. None of it is embodied by Nicki Minaj. And they put her up on this pedestal as this beacon to bring people for whom that her opinion matters towards their cause. And it's really diabolical because they don't, it's just interesting. It's interesting. I'm not saying that we should emulate it, but I'm saying it's interesting that they're not challenging her to say like, oh, in this song, you kind of talked about XYZ things. They're just like, oh, you want to help us? We're going to roll out the red carpet and give you everything. And it's just a case study in how the different parties approach coalition building differently.
I remember when I worked for Mitt Romney in 2012, because yes, we all have a journey, and mine was being Mitt Romney's caterer for the 2012 RNC when I was like in my 20s, before I really thought about politics at all. And my thing back then was Mitt Romney had signed gay marriage for Massachusetts. And so I was like, for him, I was a single issue voter on, will you sign gay marriage? And at that point, he was still saying like, I think based on the law, it's a civil right, and it's discriminatory to not. But personally, of course, I'm a Mormon and I don't believe in it. And then until like night 3 of the RNC, when he came out and said that he wouldn't do it, I was like, really with him? Dumb. But, you know, I've been there. I learned it. But what I learned from being backstage with all of these Republicans the whole time is the way they talk about power is, we need to go out and get the whole pie, and then we'll split up the pie. Where Democrats are like, well, before I help you get the pie, what size is my slice?
Yeah,
and that becomes a little bit of a difference. And I've always thought of that as like, oh, that makes a lot of sense, the way they do it.
Yeah. And like Nicki Minaj is not setting the agenda, nor is the agenda of the Trump administration being changed on behalf of Nicki Minaj or to win her support. Their values are not changing. Their agenda is not changing. They're just being
transactional.
It's very transactional. Yep. And I think that there's some to be pulled from that in terms of how we expand the number of places that we can win.
I've only got one more question for you, because I know we're already over time for today, but I have to know. So Oath has an astronomical amount of data that you are able to wield in such an impressive way to let people know where their $5 will be the most impactful to like overall races and whatnot. Are you competing with Polymarket and Kalshi right now? How do you feel about the betting on races? It's crazy to me.
We are not in the business of profiting off of these. We are in the business of changing electoral outcomes. And so we are certainly looking at it and watching it. But what I will say is in general, the markets are bad. The markets are bad at predicting outcomes in everything except for the most high profile races where there's so much data available that like the average Joe can kind of get a sense for the direction that it's going. You can go look at the Texas Senate race as an example of that. But if you look at anything underneath that, they're actually quite bad at predicting winners. I mean, we use all the data under the sun. We're buying data. We've scraped the internet and pull in everything you can imagine. Most of the team are engineers and data analysts. And our goal is not to predict the future. It's to change it. So we want to help people figure out where your $10, $5, $50 can meaningfully make a difference. And it's usually not in the races that cost $100 million. It's in the races that cost $30,000, where it's like, oh, whoa, we can break this supermajority. We can flip this chamber. We can change the ideological bent of this entire state court with a couple $100 or a couple $100,000 sometimes. And that's all people power. So we definitely watch them. And I think it's very interesting that it's getting lots of people involved and into the nerdy side of politics. But
it is.
It's not an input for us.
I have to now look at it, and so I could see what the Polymarket says about whatever. But I'm like, it feels like the new polls, like we saw in 2024, the pollsters totally blew it. Like they couldn't guess at all. And so now some combination of pollsters, you and Polymarket, I'm like, okay, it feels illegal. It feels illegal to vote on this.
Some of the stuff on there absolutely should be illegal.
Well, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Brian, thank you so much for being with me. Tell folks where they can find Oath.
Yeah, head to oath.vote, no.com, oath.vote, and you can check out our recommendations in real time, backed by real data, as to where your $20 can really matter.
I love it. Thanks so much. And Brian will be back next Wednesday to give us the updates on what's going on in not just the markets of who's betting on what horse, but just generally headlines and what you're thinking. You're such a smart person, and I'm so grateful for our friendship. I'll see you next week.
Too. Thanks for having me on.
Bye, friends. Of course. All right, so that's our show for today. We'll be back tomorrow, Thursday, with good news only. And our guest tomorrow is Lysandra Vasquez. She is an incredible comedian. She is hilarious. She does so many impressions. You've probably seen her on TikTok or Instagram. She does the Caroline Levitt daily briefing, and she does it before Caroline's briefing. And then it's almost like Caroline watches her because she's like so dead on. She's done the Doge Bros. She's done Melania. She's an incredible incredibly talented comedian, and she's down in Georgia. So she's going to let us know what's going on in Georgia politics, but we're going to try to have some fun tomorrow, do a little bit of good news. Where are we seeing wins? Get a little bit of levity. Maybe make fun of some of the MAGA Trump Republicans who are out here doing the weirdest, goofiest stuff. Maybe make some of the Democrats who are doing the weirdest, goofiest stuff. I am fingers crossed for a Lysandra Vasquez, Chuck Schumer impersonation someday. So we'll see if that happens. Remember, we are live every day from 10 to 11:30. On Mondays, pop culture and propaganda. Tuesdays, geopolitics and international hot gossip. Wednesday is the intelligence report, where we have on the folks from Oath and one of the leaders from anywhere. It could be a lawyer, could be an activist, could be whoever, to give us an intelligence report. Thursday is good news only. Friday, police scanner, true crime. That's when we have Dava, History, and 60 on. This week, she'll be talking about Zorro Ranch and her time investigating Zorro Ranch. But that'll be the time when we also talk about any other high-profile trials or true crime stuff that's going on. It's not true crime like My Favorite Murder, where we're going to talk about a murder. It's true crime like actual crimes that are being litigated right now. Could be anything, like I said, from Epstein to Diddy to financial crimes that we're seeing. So she's our true crime girly. And we'll keep doing that. So thank you all for tuning in. It will not be on Substack because I can't stream on Substack at the same time. So PST, it starts at 7 a.m. PST, 10 a.m. EST every day, except Saturday and Sunday, but we might add Saturday and Sunday. We'll see. I appreciate you guys being with me so much. And we'll see you later. Thank you.